It's Froggy Friday again, hosted by these lovely people, and I'm going to make a clown frog. So I have my frog mould again, and I've got some acrylic nail powders. I'm going to apply these in a very specific way. I want to have the red in this arm and then in the opposite leg. So I'm going to paint these on using a makeup brush, but I'm trying to be careful because I don't really want to have to do too much cleanup. The acrylic powders aren't the same as micas, but they do go onto this mould particularly well. So I'm hoping that they will transfer just as micas do onto the resin that I pour in here. So this is going to be pretty boring to watch, so I'm going to speed this up and show you the colours that I'm placing and where I'm placing them. Okay, I'm on to the last leg, and I really love these colours. They're so vibrant and they're actually fluorescent. When you shine the UV light on them, they do fluoresce. I don't think that they are glow in the dark, but anyway. Point I wanted to make is that I am wearing a dust mask when I'm doing this, just a cloth dust mask, because I'm pretty sure you can see it on camera. These do sort of waft up like smoke, and you really don't want to be breathing these in. Basically, they are tiny pieces of plastic. You do not want that in your lungs. Same with micas, really. I'm taking the end out of one of my silicone tools. You can see it's got a slanted end, and I'm pushing that back into the piece so that I end up with the flat end that is usually on the inside. It's got a little hole in it, but that won't matter. I'm going to dip that into my powder, and I'm going to use that like a stamp and press that onto the mould, and I can twist it until I can fill in the little areas. I quite like the holes in the middle, so I'm going to keep as many as I can, but I just want to put some dots in there. And I did try mixing this with a little bit of alcohol and painting it on as you would with mica, and it didn't work at all. So this was the easiest way for me to do it. And I did the same to add some blue dots. Then I mixed up some craft resin and I added some supreme white pigment and mixed that around. And once I was happy with the colour, I was ready to pour. I like to tilt my mould and fill the head area first. That way I hope to get rid of any bubbles. And just as I tipped it up, I noticed I had a little bit of the powder up on the chin. So I just used my gloves to remove it, and then I started to fill the head. And as I'm filling it, I am letting it sort of fall down to the table so that it doesn't overflow. And that way I can eliminate bubbles underneath the chin. I tried to fill it up as much as I could just by pouring and dribbling it into the feet and the legs. They're very tiny areas, but I didn't want to use a stick to guide it in because I was frightened that I might dislodge some of the acrylic powder. I don't know how well that's adhered. So once I managed to get all of this filled up, I did use my dotting tool just to poke gently into the feet and make sure that there weren't any bubbles trapped in there. And then I pulled the hips to help release the bubbles in there. Then I gave it a spritz of alcohol and left it to set. I permanently borrowed some of these plastic balls from my nephew, and I've got some acrylic varnish and a napkin. And I'm going to cut that up, and I can use that for some papier mâché to cover the plastic. I spread the varnish onto the ball and then laid the napkin in place and made sure that that was completely soaked and moulded to the ball. I made sure that it was completely covered and there was no plastic exposed. The object was to create some balloons, and I just left a little bit of the papier mâché in a kind of twist at the bottom, and that would be the part where you tie up the balloons. Now I can paint them with some acrylic paint, and then I'll be able to varnish them and attach some wire so that I can create some balloons for the frog to hold. My plan was to twist some of the wire around the little tie at the bottom, and hopefully that would grip it enough that it would be strong enough to hold the balloon. I could use a little bit of resin to hold it in place if it wasn't firm enough. Unfortunately, that didn't go to plan, as when I was tightening it up, I managed to pull it off. It was paper after all. So I did use some UV resin, bonding resin, and applied that. I was able to attach the wire and the twist back onto the balloon. So I did the same for the green balloon, being a little bit more careful, and then I gave them a coat of the same acrylic varnish just to make them shiny. They're not completely smooth, you can see all of the papier mâché, but I want them shiny so that you know that they are balloons. It's ready to demold, and it's been sitting for a couple of days actually, so I now need to try and release the seal, but it means that the feet aren't soft. So I'm going to demold this, and it looks like the colours transferred really well. Can't see anything left on the mould, and it does look really vibrant still on the white mica, or the white resin rather. No bubbles, and the dots seem to have worked really well. They don't seem to have bled, and they still look like a dot, so that's pretty good. So now I need to give him a face, and I'm going to use some acrylic markers to do that. Before I do that, I need to get rid of this little excess bit here, which I figured out is because my mould has split. And I think it arrived like that actually, so if anyone knows if I can fix that, can you let me know? If not, I'll have to order another one. Anyway, onto the face. I've pulled out some markers ready to put onto the face, and this colour seems to match pretty well to the legs, so I'm going to use that for the mouth instead of the traditional red. And I'll follow the line that is there for the most part, and then I'm going to turn it into the clown smile, which I have to say is one of the things that I find particularly creepy about clowns. They don't scare me, but I do find them creepy, which I guess is not what they're intended. So I'll follow this along and widen it a little bit and give it a smile at the end. I can just wipe off anything that goes wrong, and it is particularly slippery, so it's very easy for me to make marks, so thank goodness I can just wipe them away. Right, so I'm going to bring this along and then turn this into a kind of smile on the end. Then I can carry on going along the bottom lip, making it really sort of like a wide mouth, and I'll put another smile up the other end here. Whoop, not like that. Try again. And there we go. Right, yeah, that looks like a smile. So I need to leave that to dry. I'm going to colour in, I'm going to do a blue eye. And I'll need to leave that to dry because I want to add, for some reason they always have crosses or lines across their eyes, which is extremely weird. So I'll let this dry first and then I'll add that afterwards. Make a big blue eye and do the same on the other side. Fill that in, and then I'll leave this, as I say, to dry before I try and add anything else. While I'm waiting for that paint to dry, I've got a paintbrush and I've got some orange yarn. The paintbrush is plastic, so I'm hoping that because I want to soak this yarn in some varnish, that I can twist it around the paintbrush and it won't stick. I'll be able to release it, but I'll be able to set it into some curls. I'm going to try and make him a curly orange wig. So if I wrap this around and then leave this in the sun to dry, I hope I'll be able to take it off of the brush once it's set, and it will stay in the curls, and I'll be able to chop that up and create a wig. I'm also going to wrap some around a micro brush because I'm not sure if this is going to create curls that are a little bit too big. It's only a small frog after all. Right, I can add to his face now. I've got some black and I'm going to give him some eyebrows because again they always seem to have very exaggerated eyebrows. And then I'm going to put some crosses in there in the eye. And all good clowns need a red nose. I'm using this clear UV clay. So I'm going to open that up, and I got a little piece out, but I do need to put some Vaseline on my fingers before I start using it. So I'll just put a very small amount on the ends of my gloves. And now I want to colour this red. I'm not expecting it to be completely red. I am going to paint it, but I just want to give it a sort of background. It makes it easier for me to see once I'm painting. So this is J. Diction's UV, just resin actually, resin pigment. So I put a dot in there and then I'll just mix that together with my fingers. And I'll shape it into a rough ball. The longer you hold it and warm it up, the more it becomes very sort of runny and sticky. So that's a pretty good nose shape, and that should bond itself to the resin as I cure it. I'm going to use my torch to flash cure it, and then I'm going to add the hair, also using some UV resin, and then I can continue to cure this under the lamp afterwards. I've got the yarn, I've taken this one off the stick already, and the micro brush stick is the perfect size. The paintbrush was too big, and actually it destroyed the curl as I was trying to take it off because it's stuck to the stick. So once I've removed this one from the stick and take off that brush end, now I should be able to cut these into little pieces, and then I'm going to fix them to the top of the head using the UV bonding resin as well. And then I'll pop everything under the lamp after I've given them all sort of flash cures and give it a final cure. That will cure the nose and the wig. So I'm going to speed this up for you.
Out from the pond with a giggle and a grin, a colourful frog is tumbling in. Orange curls bounce on his wobbly head, with eyes of blue and nose bright red. He's got two balloons, one green, one red, floating up high above his head. Froggy the clown, with a splash and a sound, twirls through the town in his polka dot gown. Friendly and funny, with hops full of cheer, he's the jolliest jester you'll ever find near. Ribbity shouts as he tumbles around, holding tight to his bright balloon crown.
Well, there's the hair, and I'm just going to colour in the nose now using the same markers, only this time I am using a red. I don't think I can have a pink nose. So once this has coloured in, I'm going to leave that to dry, and then I can attach the balloons. Okay, I want the balloons to look like he's holding them, so I'm going to just make a little L shape at the bottom, or a foot for it to rest into, and I'm going to tuck that in amongst the toes. I'll try and make it flat to the floor, and now I'm going to use a little bit more Vaseline on my fingers, and I'll add a sort of ball of UV clay and stuff that in between the toes, and hopefully that will help to hold that balloon in place. I'm hoping it's going to be enough to support it. So I'm going to use a combination of the UV clay and some of the bonding resin, and then cure that in place, and I'll try and attach the other balloon in a similar way.
Juggling cupcakes, slipping on pie, squirts of flour, oh me, oh my. Kids all giggle, the ducks all clap. You somersaults into a lily pad nap. Sunshine and laughter just follow his trail. A circus of frogs rides his coattails. Froggy the clown with his...
So there's a combination of clay and UV resin, and I'm going to cure that from the back as well. I did the same to the orange balloon, and they are both self-supporting, but I want to add this a little bit more strength because the orange one is a lot taller. So I'm going to put some of the UV resin just where it meets on that sort of the little tag that hangs out the bottom of the balloon. So I can put the UV resin there and it will glue itself to the green balloon, and then they're both supporting each other in two places. So once that's cured, he's finished. I can't say that he looks cute. I think he's a little bit menacing, but if you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, comment and share, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It's free. Check out the description box for the playlist and check out everybody else's content. Thanks so much for watching. Come back and see what I'm going to make next time. Bye.